Hello once again, my fellow viewers. It's the end of February 28th, and my final review will be entirely focused on the events at the battlefront. There are a lot of events, a lot has happened, and it looks like more will happen tomorrow. So to begin with, traditionally, let's observe the southern direction. It looks like the Russian army has seriously decided to occupy Nikolaev, or bypass it and go further in the direction of Odessa. Huge columns of Russian troops today, according to the governor of the Nikolaev region, will move out in the direction of Nikolaev in the evening. Residents of the city were asked to go to the bomb shelter. While there is still no news this morning, I assume there will be a lot of news from here soon. Also today, Russian troops broke through the front of the Ukrainian armed forces in the area of Vasilivka. Ukrainian troops were knocked out of position, and by this evening, Russian troops either entered or bypassed Vasilivka and moved on. Also, Russian armed forces and the Lugansk People Militia went to storm the north of Donetsk, and by tonight they had already occupied the eastern and northern suburbs of the city. And considering how quickly they started moving, it is very likely that either the Russians or the LNR People's Militia will enter the north of Donetsk tomorrow. There is also no news from Izium, and it looks like it is already under the Russian Federation. There is no internet there, and considering what the leadership of the Ukrainian armed forces said, that the Russian army is approaching Slavinsk and Ramatorsk, it looks like tomorrow there will also be battles in the area. Also, People's Militia of Dinar, with the support of Russian artillery and aviation, went to storm Mariupol. The front line of the enemy's defense is broken, and fighting is already going on in the city. It is very likely that tomorrow the ring of encirclement will close around the huge, gigantic grouping of Ukrainian armed forces in Donbass. And that will essentially be a verdict for all the Ukrainian armed forces, because today the Russian troops from the Chernivtsi region marched the remaining few dozen kilometers to the suburbs of Kiev, Bravo, and entered the city in the evening. And the barrier that stood at the entrance to the city stood for just a few minutes, and then was blown down by striking helicopters and tanks. That evening, the city council deputies shouted in panic, "All the Russians have entered the city!" I also want to point out another interesting pattern for today. For the first time, the Russian aviation was very active, and the Russian Federation has completely changed its information warfare methodology. Today, a huge number of videos are being posted on the internet, including attacks by Ukrainian armed vehicles. A huge number of vehicles hit, and it was clear that the Russian troops were the ones filming the attacks. Tonight, on the left bank, the Russian army had reached the suburbs of Kiev. While I'm recording this video, I have no data on whether Bravadov was taken or not, but in any case, it is already at the nearest suburbs of Kiev. I assume that the Russian troops can be expected at Boryspil tomorrow. And when they occupy Boryspil's international airport, they will completely cut off the Ukrainian capital from the left bank. Also in Kharkiv, the Kremlin is very tough, and after today's cleaning of its rear, there will be a new attack tomorrow, or maybe even tonight. Lastly, let's look at what we have going on the right bank, northwest of Kiev. Right now, while I'm recording this video, both the Russian and the Ukrainian artilleries are simultaneously leveling Bucha and Irpin. The Ukrainians are striking Bucha, while the Russians are striking Irpin, and the people are forced to wait in basements and pray that this will end as soon as possible. It looks like the Russian troops are either preparing to or have already begun a general attack in this direction and want to dislodge the Ukrainian armed forces from their line of defense along the Irpin River. Given the fact that the aviation is working intensely on the Russian side, I think the outcome of this battle is already obvious. Moreover, the Kiev Defense Headquarters already warned Kiev's residents living in the north and northwest of the capital city of Ukraine that they should prepare for the Russian columns entering Kiev itself. This shows that they have absolutely no illusions. They understand that this line of defense will be broken through. Also, I completely forgot to tell you this morning that there has been a report that the Russian Navy is indeed blockading the Ukrainian ports. 2 cargo ships that were on their way to Odessa were stopped by Russian corvettes and were forced to turn back. I would also like to mention an incident that occurred in the Kharkiv region. One of the suburbs of Kharkiv lost all control today. The security service of Ukraine came and took Kharkiv away. The leadership of Kharkiv city's southern agreed with the Russians to go over to their side. So actually, the Kharkiv authorities began to think seriously about going over to the side of Russia. This became for the Kiev regiment the second fatal strike. Having lost its main strike force in Donbass, as well as losing Kharkiv, essentially the fight for the left bank and in all the other places becomes pointless. That is what I wanted to say in this video. And also, I want to take the opportunity to say that my first video, which was translated to English, appeared on my other YouTube channel. I will leave the link to the video in the description box down below. Please share this video with all your friends and family and then distribute it to all the English-speaking resources, as they say, with God's help. Future news from the frontline will be ready by tomorrow, and I gladly let my comrade Michael Onifrienko take my place. See you again tomorrow morning.